All praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elected nation of Israel. This video is going to be entitled, or I'm going to be talking about how if you don't like God's laws, right, don't cry for injustice that takes place in this world, right? And I'm going to say it again. If you don't like God's laws, right, if you don't like the laws of Yahweh, don't complain when you experience injustice in this world, because the only way for any situation that happens in your life to be righteously judged is for the laws of Yahweh to be the way how that situation is really assessed, man. Anything else outside of that is really a wicked judgment, man. Right? This is Proverbs chapter 28 and verse 4. They that forsake the law praise the wicked, but such as keep the law contend with them. So if you want to have a society where righteousness is taking place, then you have to have a society that's being judged by the laws of God. And which that would make sense considering God made the earth, He made the heavens, He made all the animals that are on the earth, He made the waters, He made everything that we've seen with our eyes, right? Anything that people make with His creations, He allowed them creations that He made to be able to be turned into those things. But people will be like, nah, I made it be like that. No, you didn't. No, you didn't, man. No, you didn't. People like to complain about injustice in this world at the same time rejecting Yahweh's laws, but then when something happens to them in their life, then they want it to be judged fairly. But the only way for it to really be judged fairly is with Yahweh's laws. Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 5, Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahweh my power commanded me, that you should do so in the land whither you go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your understanding, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which I hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people, right? That's the only way for this world to really be judgment, is with the laws of Yahweh. Anything else is wickedness. Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, right? When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. When the Israelites are really in charge of the world, which they're not at the moment, I don't care who wants to say that they are, whichever rabbi you want to pull out the woodwork and him trying to make it like he's one of the chosen, well, why ain't the earth righteous then? Explain that. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Right now, the earth is clearly in the hands of the wicked. Everyone's complaining. Men are complaining about women. Women are complaining about how men ain't got this amount of money and men ain't got that amount of money, right? When some of the reasons why the men ain't got that money is because some wicked woman stole it from them. You know what I mean? Some certain of these men that would have had way more money if a wicked woman didn't marry them and then divorce them. Because if she would have divorced them under God's laws, they would have got a divorce under God's laws, the woman leaves with nothing. Since she wants to really leave with nothing then, right? You leave with nothing, man. That's what's the biblical way is. She leaves with nothing. Not she leaves with more than he gets left with, even though he made the money. And then if she decides, oh, you know what, I need some spousal support, I need him to pay me while I find the next man that I want to be with and still keep paying me while I'm with the next man. You know how ridiculous that is. But that exists in this world. That actually exists here. And then you'll have women complaining about how men don't have this amount of money and men don't have that amount of money. But some of it is because another woman stole that man's money. You know what I mean? So that's some of the reason why. And another reason why certain men won't have as much money as they have in times past is because now there's more people out there that want to work and that are working. Right? And I say want to work. I don't even mean want to work. There's more people out there that are working, right? Which is also the reason why, because there's more single relationship, there's more single people walking around the earth right now. That's the reason why the rent's high, that you women are complaining about and getting evicted and having to give up your hole to pay the rent now. Some of y'all. The reason for that is because there's more single people, so therefore the landlords can get away with charging way more because there's a bigger demand. right? There's a bigger demand for the houses, but there's a lower supply. So therefore they can say, okay, since there's a higher demand but a lower supply, there ain't been much more houses made. I'm gonna charge 2, 3, 400 more, maybe double what I used to pay, what I used to charge, and they're gonna have to pay. Otherwise, what they're gonna do? Live, be homeless. What the result is. Whereas if there was more families, then some of these houses that are 3 bedroom, 2 bedroom, whatever, they'd be being lived in by families instead of one woman is living in a 2 bed here, and then another man down the road is living in a 2 bed there. Them two would have been living in a house, for example, together, which would now leave this next house open for another couple to be living in there, and then the next house would be another couple, another family starting off. But when you got a more overabundance of single women and single men, then the landlords can overly charge for the rent prices. That just makes sense, right? If you've got 10 burgers, right, and 100 people want the burgers, well, you can charge way higher for the burgers now because they're gonna buy them because there's a high demand but a low supply, right? That's what happens, man. Now, let's go to another law, man. That's a major law, man. That people, in fact, you know what I'll do? I'll go to the 10 Commandments, man. I'll go to the 10 Commandments because if just these things right here was being followed, right, people would would be way more the world would be way more peaceful. This is Exodus chapter 20. Exodus chapter 20 and verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Now, people will say, forget the Sabbath. I don't want to allow the Sabbath or all that. Right? No. The Sabbath day being kept holy would be a beautiful thing because it would mean that people would get time off from working. Isn't work one of the things that people complain about having to overly do in this world? Right? People would get a rest every single week, every single 7 days. Once every 7 days, they'd get a rest from work, right? Because one of the main things that people have a problem with in this world is being overworked, man. Overworked and underpaid, right? But the Sabbath day being kept would mean that now, within the 6 days that you're allowed to work, right, people are gonna be more. There'll be more work in those 6 days because there's one day throughout the year. I mean, throughout the week that you can't work because it would be unlawful to do it. And the actual judgment of working on the Sabbath, when we're actually going to be following the laws perfectly in the kingdom of heaven, any heathen that breaks this law is going to experience deletion, right? The actual judgment for breaking the Sabbath is death, right? So in the kingdom of heaven, when the law is the judgment of the earth, anyone that breaks that law will experience that, man. We ain't going to be playing around with Yahweh's laws. The time of people playing around with Yahweh's laws is now. In the kingdom of heaven, we're not going to allow people to play around with Yahweh's laws. It's going to be very serious, man. It's going to be ruled. The world is going to be ruled with a rod of iron. We're not going to allow the breaking of Yahweh's laws. Every time the law is broken, the judgments are going to go out, man. Every time. Every time. Let's go to this. Exodus chapter 20, verse 7. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahweh in vain, for Yahweh will not hold him guiltless that take of his name in vain. So people ain't going to be disrespecting the name of Yahweh. And in them having fear to disrespect the name of Yahweh, there's also going to have a fear for breaking Yahweh's laws in general. In general, people are going to not want to break Yahweh's laws as brashly as they are now. The men of every single nation are going to be having beards. And if anyone tries to come by setting up a barbershop where they're setting up giving skin fades and all that, I got a new thing that we can do that with clean shave and all. There's going to be judgments for that. There's going to be judgments, man. The judgment for that is not death, but there's going to be judgments for it, though. And we're going to get more understanding of the ways how people are supposed to get judged when Yahweh shines on the earth anyway. We're going to truly understand all of these laws, man, perfectly. Thanks to the new covenant that we're going to be under and the new bodies we're going to be given. Let's go to verse 13. Thou shalt not kill, which really means thou shalt not murder, right? There ain't gonna be people people in this world, man. When someone brutally kills their family member, right, and then they get a low prison sentence, right? They get angered by the injustice, right? But then some of these people would still say they don't like Yahweh's laws, when the real judgment that's supposed to get done for that would be eye for an eye, right? And that's how it's gonna be in the kingdom of heaven. It's not gonna be, oh, he got 100 years for killing my brother. Oh yeah, that's justice. No, that's not really justice. The real justice is eye for an eye, man, in a situation like that. That's the true justice. Unless the way how the person perished was an accident and then a refuge city gets set up. And then you can read about the more detail. I'm not too sure 100% on all the details in regards to that law, right? So I'm not going to speak openly about something that I'd have to read over again. But you're not, once you get put in a refuge city, you're not allowed to leave that again until the high priest that put you in that dies, man. If I'm not mistaken. But there's a law for accidental death in the scriptures. It's not just eye for an eye in every single situation. Verse 14, Exodus chapter 20, verse 14, thou shalt not commit adultery. And this is a heavy one, right? Because men in this world, man, they love some adultery, you know. They love it, man. And some of us could have been guilty of that in some regard, right? Which all of us really are guilty of it in the most clear sense of what adultery is, that you sleep with another man's wife in general, right? Just because you didn't hide underneath the bed when they came home and you had to dive out the window in your Calvin Kleins, that don't mean that, that's not, no, it's still adultery. If you got with another woman and the previous man that was with her is not dead, that's still adultery, right? But this world loves adultery, man. But a brother could be walking on the street with his woman, right? And if that woman would have been by herself, the man would have had no interest in the woman. But now that he sees that she's with you, yeah, now he's more into her than he would have been if you wasn't there, which shows that the whole adultery thing is a bit kind of GAY, to be honest with you. It's kind of a bit weird, man. You know what I mean? The adultery thing is really a demon, man. It's a real weird thing that's took place in this world, to where men are not disgusted. Men should really, if we were living in a righteous society, right? Men should actually be, and women should actually be offended when somebody wants them to commit adultery, because they're basically saying, yeah, you're the kind of demon that would do that. We should actually be offended if a woman wants us to commit adultery with them, because that means she thinks that we're the kind of person that would risk death just to be with her. In God's eyes, not in this world's eyes, in God's eyes. And that's why brothers actually pray to be kept away from adultery, man. If we know that there's a woman that she's trying to be into us and all that, we'll actually pray. Brothers have actually put them stories out there that they've actually prayed to not be around adulterous women, man. That for some reason, this woman was just into them when normally she wouldn't be into them, and that's a demon, really. You know what I mean? Let me carry on. Verse 15, thou shalt not steal. Now, people love complaining, and like, if you might have noticed in this world now, there's a trend of ring doorbells, right? There's a trend of ring doorbells, man. Just look around your area. If you live in a somewhat more less street area, you'll see a loads of ring doorbells, man. Loads. And even in the hood, you're seeing ring doorbells, man. You're seeing people getting their doors licked off the hinges, men jumping or climbing through the damn door frame after they've kicked it off the hinge. People have got a whole bunch of ring doorbells now. And why is it that people have got ring doorbells? Because they're scared of people stealing their things. But does Yahweh's got laws for that, though? And most of the time when things get stolen from you, you never get them back. Most of the time, you never get the things back, man. Verse 16, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Now, men are going through this where women are accusing them of rape, right? And then he didn't do it. And then nothing happens to the woman afterwards. But then at the same time, some of these people would scoff at Yahweh's laws, but Yahweh's laws say this in regards to that. And I'm gonna get this law, man, because the false witness thing is a big thing, man. Let's get this. Deuteronomy chapter 19 and verse 16. If a false witness rise up against any man to testify against him that which is not true, that which is wrong, then both the men between whom the controversy is shall stand before Yahweh, before the priests and the judges, which shall be in those days. And the judges shall make diligent inquisition, and behold, if the witness be a false witness, and have testified falsely against his brother, then shall ye do unto him as he had thought to have done unto his brother. So shalt thou put the evil away from among you. So in these situations where you got these women making these false RAPE allegations, right? Well, then you're supposed to ask the woman, okay, if we can prove that he's did this to you, what do you want us to do to him? And whatever she says, right, that's what's going to happen to her if she's found to be lying. Whereas in this world, when the woman confesses and says, I didn't do it, most of the time, she gets no jail time. Most of the time, if she was like, oh, he did this to me, and I know he's a rich basketball player, I want £1 million. Okay, now you got to find £1 million to give him. And if you can't make that £1 million through your work, well, now you're going to have to work for him for the rest of your life then, as a slave now, to get that £1 million. That's what would be the kind of judgments that are going to be going out, man. These are going to be some of the kind of judgments that are going to be going out among the heathen by the hands of the Israelites in the kingdom of heaven. Because they're going to be under the laws of Yahweh, but they are not going to be under the new covenants. Right? I'll say that again. They're going to be under the laws of Yahweh in the kingdom of heaven, but they're not going to be under the new covenant. The new covenant is only for the Israelites, where the Israelites have the laws written in them perfectly. Verse 20. And those which remain shall hear and fear, and shall henceforth commit no more any such evil among you. So the judgment on false witness is supposed to scare other people into not being liars, man. Verse 21, and thine eye shall not pity, but life shall go for life. So if a person rises up and makes a false witness and they say, I want him dead, I want her dead, and it turns out they're lying, right? And an example of that false witness thing is in the book of Susanna, right? The book of Susanna, where she was a beautiful woman and she was bathing in her husband's garden, right? She'd always bathe in her husband's garden, and two wicked elders fell in love with her because she would look good, right? And then they tried to approach her and say, commit adultery with us. Because if you don't commit adultery with us, we're going to say you did anyway and you're going to die. And she said it would be better for me to not do it, and you accuse me of it, than to do it and you not accuse me. So she didn't do it, and she screamed out, and then they ran away. Then they said they saw her committing adultery, and Daniel was there, the prophet Daniel, and he said, okay, split these two men up and let's interrogate them a bit. What tree did you say that you saw her committing adultery under? And one said this tree. Then the other one said, he asked the other one and was like, okay, what tree did you see her committing adultery under? And he said a completely different tree. And it was like, see, these two, this is me paraphrasing here now, but he was like, see, these two nasty niggas that are no better than Canaanites, man, right? They were lying, man. And now what they thought was supposed to happen to her is going to happen to them. And they was judged without mercy, man. Verse 21, and thine eye shall not pity, but life shall go for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. So in a situation where, let's say, a woman accused a man of RAPE, right? And they said, okay, if we can prove that he did this to you, what do you want us to do for it? And she said, I want you to chop off one of his hands and chop off one of his feet, right? That'll teach him. And then we're like, okay, write that down. Yeah. When it turns out that he didn't do it, that's what's going to happen to you. If it turns out he didn't do it, that's what's going to be your judgment. Because this world has allowed women to just run around saying all kind of stuff, and has allowed men to do that. Men have accused the apostles of Great Millstone of like pretty much being the worst thing that you can be under the sun, man. With no proof yet to this day. No proof yet. Accusing men of these things, no proof yet. And some of the people that accused the apostles of Great Millstone of being these things, it came out that no, in fact, no, you are that thing that you accused them of. And the proof is that you are in prison right now for it. right? And some of the people that was down with this guy accusing him of that, they came up with all excuses under heaven to try and somewhat be like, oh yeah, but still, you know what I mean? Showing that people are wicked, man. People are wicked. You've had a whole bunch of people that have tried to scoff the Israelites, man, and then it's turned out that these people are some of the most degenerate people going, man. That are doing all kinds of madness. And people want to try and mock the laws of Yahweh, right? But the laws of Yahweh are righteous. The ways of Yahweh are righteous, man, compared to these wicked ass ways. In this world, you don't get forgiven of no mistakes in this world, man. People are still talking about in this world how Mike Tyson ate Evander Holyfield's ear. They still keep talking about that all now. You know what I mean? People still keep bringing up that. In this world, you don't get forgiven of no crimes, even after you go to prison and come out. They're still talking about it. So obviously, the prison sentence is not really the judgment because they still don't forgive you. According to this world, you still be like, oh, you be in prison. Oh, we can't hire you. Huh? I thought the prison sentence was my judgment. What the fuck was the point of me going to prison then? Right? That's how this world is. And I'm not talking about me, but I'm talking about in this world in general. If a person's gone to prison, the world tries to hold that against them. But I thought the prison sentence was a judgment. Shouldn't that mean that after they've did their sentence, that their sin, according to what Esau is talking about in this world, that their crime is being forgiven now after they come back out there? Shouldn't that be what it is? And that just shows that they haven't been able to invent a better way than what the Lord says, man. Because the Lord says, "You shall not pollute the land wherein you are, for blood it defileth the land." And the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. But this world will try and be like, okay, he committed a murder. All right, he's gonna go to 25 years with 15 years before parole. And then the person gets out now, and then, you know what I mean? The land's still defiled because it ain't been cleansed. Ezekiel chapter 18 and verse 21, but if the wicked will turn from all his sins that he hath committed, and keep all my statutes, and do that which is lawful and right, he shall surely live, he shall not die. All his transgressions that he have committed, they shall not be mentioned unto him. In his righteousness that he have done shall he live. But that's not what this world does, though. That's not what this world does. They keep that against your charge forever, right? If you get a little arrest when you was a 16-year-old and that, they give you a reprimand and you do a DBS check, and then they still keep, every time you do a DBS check, it's still gonna come up on there. Ooh, it says that you did a bit of a violent crime there. Ooh, we're kind of looking for somebody that's a bit less, you know what I mean? They're gonna keep that against you forever. Every single time a DBS check or whatever they say in this world comes up, that's always gonna be on there. But what Yahweh is gonna do for the elect is there's gonna come a time where all the sins that we've did, all the wickedness that we've did as Israelites, is never going to be mentioned ever again. The slate's going to be cleared. Hebrews chapter 8 and verse 12, for I will forgive their iniquity, neither will I remember their sins anymore. The Israelites are going to be forgiven. Their slate's going to be cleaned. All the sins that they've previously committed are going to be cleansed away and not remembered no more. All the things that we've ever did before that were wicked, that were sins that was worthy of death, that made us worthy of death, that's all going to be forgiven and not remembered anymore, man. But in this world, they don't do that, though. In this world, they're going to always keep mentioning it, man. They ain't going to let you be free from what you did wrong. They're always going to keep bringing that up every single time. Verse 24, but when the righteous turneth away from his righteousness, right, and committeth iniquity, and doeth according to all the abominations that the wicked man doeth, shall he live? All his righteousness that he hath done shall not be mentioned. In his trespass that he hath trespassed, and in his sin that he hath sinned, in them shall he die. Yet ye say, the way of the Lord is not equal. Hear now, O house of Israel, is not my way equal, are not your ways unequal, right? How Jacob tried to come up with their own methods to try and deal with each other, that's not equal. That's unfair because you Jakes don't forgive nothing, man. There's still street beefs going on from time, man. Gang wars going on from before man was even born. Why don't you like them, man? Oh, because they're pagans. Why they're pagans for? I don't know, but they just are. Now, fuck them, man. They're the ops. Why they're the ops? Because they are. Because they live on a different street than us. But why, though? If we can't all live on this street, there wouldn't be enough space. Now, fuck that. They're the ops. If they grew up in the same area as me, then they're the ops, but they don't. So they're the ops, though. But they're the same as us. Now, fuck that. They ain't. They're the ops. Why, though? Don't know. They just are. Someone's got to be the ops so they can be. That's how you dummies are. Your ways are unequal, man. Your ways are not equal. It's okay for you to sleep with another man's wife in your eyes, some of you wicked jakes. But then it's not okay for a man to sleep with your wife. That's not equal, is it? Whereas the ways of Yahweh says it's not lawful for any man to sleep with any man's wife, even your enemy's wife, even another heathen of another nation. You're not allowed to do that to him. Right? Now, there's another law in regards to that where if we go to war against another nation, well, then there's a law for that, man. And if you see a woman among that nation that you desire, there's a law for that. And people can cry and complain about it. But what's the way of this world? What's the way of this world that if you go to war with another nation, what do? Do they even give a 30-day period of time? Or would they take a man's wife while he's still alive with a gunshot wound in his gut or something, man? Not after he's been dead 30 days. Know what I mean? They'll do it while he's still alive. But they'll say that the ways of Yahweh are unrighteous. Nah. Tell me a better way then. Tell me a better way. If all you people that have got a problem with Yahweh's laws, yeah, write all of Yahweh's laws down and then write what you would say is a better alternative. And I bet it will not be. I bet it will not be. I bet you'd end up finding out that you agree with more of his laws than you disagree with. I bet you'd end up agreeing with the law on usury. So that if you borrow money from another Israelite, right, he can't put interest on that. I bet you'd agree with that. Unless you're a Jake that's rich and you'll be like, nah, I want to put usury on my people because I want to start my own loan sharks business. I want to try and oppress the poor of our people and I want to put a 50% APR on that so that I can get rich and I hope he don't pay me back on time so that I can charge him 50% extra every single week that he misses the payment and I can just come up with a dodgy payment program that he's going to end up paying for what he owed me 7 times over. Some of y'all would be like that, but that's not a better way though, is it? Because if you're not putting usury on your people, then your people can grow. So that if there's a time where you needed a loan, you could get one. But Yahweh is so graceful towards our nation that there's going to be a time where there's no poor among us. Right? There's going to come a time where there's no, let me see if I can find that. Let me type in the word poor in Deuteronomy. Here we go. This is Deuteronomy chapter 15 and verse 1. At the end of 7 years thou shalt make a release, and this is the manner of the release. Every creditor that lendeth aught unto his neighbor shall release it. He shall not exact of it of his neighbor or his brother, because it is called Yahweh's release. Of a foreigner, meaning a non-Israelite, thou may exact it again. But that which is thine with thy brother, thine hand shall release. And this is after every 7 years, and that's beautiful, man. Whereas in this world, they be still running you down. This world will run you down for a loan for how long, man? And brothers and sisters will be having beef against each other over $1,000 that they borrowed each other. Oh, he didn't pay me back that $1,000. How long ago did you borrow him? 35 years ago. Oh, you still talk? Well, nah. That's released, man. That's released now. And they'll not talk to their brother or sister again over £1,000, sometimes even less than that. Verse 4, save when there shall be no poor among you, for Yahweh shall greatly bless thee in the land which Yahweh thy power giveth thee for inheritance to possess it. And what time is that talking about? That's talking about the kingdom of heaven, right? The time where Yahweh is going to greatly bless every single Israelite to the point where another Israelite wouldn't even really need to ask for another Israelite for a loan, because we're all going to be wealthy, man, and we're going to get our portion of wealth out of the heathen, man. We'll be able to set up our loan shark thing and our loans and that on the heathen, man. We'll be able to do that to them. We ain't supposed to do that to each other. And then, you know what's deep about that, yeah? Is that out of all the laws that Esau copied, out of all the things that Esau doesn't like about the Israelites, right? And that he doesn't want to keep Yahweh's laws, right? That particular law is the reason why he was able to get so rich, because he did loans on the people that he would have considered as heathens to himself. Amalek did that, right? They actually got rich through loans. Isn't that fascinating? That the nation that actually hates Yahweh's laws the most of all the people on the earth, one of the things that actually made them get their wealth was the keeping of one of Yahweh's laws in particular, the law on loans and usury, and how, okay, on your own people don't do it, but do it on everyone else. That's how they actually got their wealth, man. Isn't that fascinating? I find that to be very fascinating, man. That Esau actually, through keeping of one of Yahweh's laws, actually built himself up a lot of wealth. But then because he's such a demon, he didn't think, you know what, okay, Jacob's being wicked. Let us be more righteous in our workings than Jacob. Let us start keeping the laws. Because we've already seen that this particular law, when we keep this, it's made us have all of this wealth. So let's try keeping the other ones. Maybe Yahweh will repent of himself and help us and make us be the children as well, and forgive us for selling the birthright. He didn't do that. So he's going to get what he gets, man. Right? He's going to get what he gets. And I just thought I would do this video quickly, man, on how people hate Yahweh's laws, right? But then at the same time, they complain about injustice, man. And on that, I'm going to say Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom to the Israel of Yahweh. Shalom.